Well, today is the day. Facebook Live Fridays at Campaign P31. So I'm excited. Let's see who joins us today. I've been waiting to talk to you guys. It's been a long time coming. So we'll see what happens, how much love I get. Let's see who's out there. Was jamming to some music a second ago. I should have left it on. Let's see. Hello. Facebook Fridays. Facebook Live. So I'm so excited, actually. I've been planning for this for about 5 days now. It's been waking me up in the middle of the night. I cleaned my entire house because I just could not flow in my thoughts without getting rid of any unnecessary clutter. So needless to say, I was super soaked. I felt stoked. Let's see who's out there. If you're out there, just say hi and give me a thumbs up. Let me know what's going on. Hi. Hey, y'all. Let's see. So this Facebook Live thing, I gotta admit, it's a little new for me. I got a little bit of practice with some other things, but this is definitely a new experience. Let's see. Carmen, hi sis. All right. So I was just explaining how excited I was about doing this. I've been kind of preparing for a while, and I cleaned my entire house with bleach, which I'll tell that story in a second. Don't you even worry. We're going to get into that. Can you hear me okay? Is that good? Okay, because there's no one talking back, so you don't really know if they can hear you well. Well, I want to get started. Give you a little bit of background about who I am and the purpose of this group. So my name is Alexis Roberts, and I want to welcome everybody out there to Facebook Live Fridays at Campaign P31. And basically, Campaign P31 as a group or as an organization is a platform for women to be able to share and to grow into their greatest selves. And so in creating this forum, basically it's out of a desire to help women renovate themselves in a way that brings them balance and also helps reignite them into living their best lives. So I wanted to kind of talk to many of you because you've watched me over the years, and maybe I grew up with you, or I went to church with you, or maybe I even taught with you as a teacher because I did that for about 13 years, or maybe I owned a previous business with you, or was a business partner in some way, network marketing, you know how that goes. And some of you I may have even planned some events for, but I wanted to kind of tell my story in a different way on a new platform through Campaign P31. I am the founder. And if you haven't figured it out by now, campaign is a movement, and P31 refers to Proverbs 31. So I wanted to kind of just share a little bit about what that means and to get your feedback. And I wanted to just talk. I love to talk, but oftentimes we just don't create those forums and platforms to do that. So here's a way that we can engage every Friday at 1 p.m. Hopefully I can keep the time the same, and we can grow together as a community of women. So yesterday, I posed a couple of questions, but before we get to that part, I want to tell you a little bit about my story. So I mentioned that I've done several different things over the course of maybe 14, 15 years. most of you know me as a teacher, and I do believe that my gift is still to teach. I believe the vehicle has changed. So I mentioned a number of things. There are tons of great or good ideas out there, but narrowing down and focusing on a God idea is a totally different ballgame. And so about 2 years ago, 2015 or so, I started on this journey. I would call it the hero's journey. And some of you have heard that term before, those of you who are writers. It refers to this journey that a person goes on. It's kind of like an odyssey where you go through a growth period. I remember being a teacher and hearing a small voice in my head and kind of was wondering like, okay, God, is this you? And the best way I can explain it for you to be able to understand and relate was kind of the moment that Neo had in the Matrix, where he realized that he wanted something greater than that moment of being in the cubicle and just kind of cranking out papers, that he wanted something more. And he was then presented with the opportunity of taking the red or the green pill. And I was kind of presented with that same sort of situation, not in the same fashion, of course, but it was as if God was saying, do you want to continue this way? Or would you like to see what's behind door number one? And like most people, I already knew what was going on out here. So to see what God had for me behind door number one, I was game. So I took the opportunity. I have to admit, I was super, super nervous, and I went for it. And I was like, God, I trust you. And so I went through this journey and I started to kind of dig deep into the word and go on this path of self-discovery. And I focused in on Proverbs 31. I was like, this chick, she's bad. If I can be anything like her, then I would be doing myself the greatest service ever. My marriage would totally change and would turn around. Not that it wasn't already good, but it could be great. It would make me an outstanding mom and a great friend and a sister and all that stuff that I have to balance as a woman. And so I took on the challenge and I broke it down in a way that was relatable and understandable for me and that I could apply. So long story short, I go on this journey. I break it down. It's like 10 months long. I was like, okay, I'm committed to studying and growing for 10 months. And midway, the first quarter of that journey, 2.5 months in, the noise, the voice, the nudge started to get very strong and very loud. And all of a sudden, next thing I know is I'm feeling an urge to leave my job. Oh my God, I remember that. It was torture. Because how could I explain to my husband that I was going to leave my job? Anybody who needs a 2-income household already knows what that's like. So I did it. I followed the voice and I did it and I walked away. The scariest thing ever, but I trusted God. I trusted God more than I trusted me. So I knew it would work out. The other thing, 2 weeks later, funny enough, my mom, at this point, it's like 5 months into my 10-month journey, my mom lets us know that she is diagnosed with cancer, and boom, in your face. So I had a decision to make at the halfway point of my personal journey. Would I continue to dig deep, or would I put it on hold and deal with life? And so I said, no time like the present, I might as well finish. I got this far. So the very next day, I decided to fight back a little harder. And I posted a blog, started a blog, and I started to kind of keep a documented journey or journal of the journey. And during that time, I realized that I wasn't the only one going through that kind of stuff, and that there were other women who were going through similar experiences and were having similar feelings about wanting to go a certain direction, but kind of like scared or apprehensive to do so. And so what happened was actually pretty cool. The platform that you see today kind of snowballed out of that moment of just strategizing back and fighting back and pushing back against the urge to want to quit midway. So 5 months later, I finish up in October, and I'm really excited. The new year's coming, and I'm, great expectation. You always have for the new year. And then all of a sudden, January 2016 or 2017 hits, and I find myself at the darkest night of the soul. So again, you need to reference A Hero's Journey. You can look it up on Google. It's there, and you'll totally figure it out. January hits, coming off the high of Christmas and New Year's, and January 9th is my dad's birthday. And I'm in Chicago. My mom's not doing well, but, still standing in faith, believing that God can do everything, right? And so I'm there at this moment where I kind of figured that this is not going the direction that I thought it was. And so I need to be at peace with it. And so I had made my mind up months ahead of time that whatever happened, that my response as a believer and as a Christian, and yes, I'm standing in faith, but and my testimony does not change, and my declaration of faith doesn't change. But one of the things I wanted to say or realize that I had to say yes and amen. Okay, God, here we go. And so on January 11th, my mother transitions. And before she left, one of the things we got a chance to talk about was Campaign P31 and how that scripture came alive to her and what that meant to her as a woman who had been married for 37 years and with the same man, my father, her husband, for 42 years. And in that moment, right before she transitioned, there was a moment where she reached for my father's hand with like the last strength that she had. And he was crying, of course, but it was in that moment that I was able to step back and see like, boom, that's a virtuous woman right there. Even in the most desperate of situations, she still was able to, from her bed, manage the situation, even manage how we all came to terms with it. And so when we celebrated her life, that was one of the main things that we did. We celebrated what it means to be a virtuous woman, a woman of balance, a woman of purpose, a woman of grace and poise under pressure, a woman who faces fears and challenges every day, but to be able to function in that and navigate that. And so I made it my business to, as a token of the legacy that she leaves us and that I live out every day, to share that with women all over the world. I will promote this with my very last breath. So yesterday, I posed a question because I was here. And so I was just wondering what y'all was thinking. So the question that I posed on social media, I think I did it Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, was, what do you do when you feel like you're under attack? And how do you fight back? So this is what I came up with. Personally, when I feel under attack, I'm just going to keep it real with you. I give myself a minute to be in my feelings because that's human. And I think that's natural. And I think that if I told you anything else, you would do the same thing anyway. You'd be in your feelings forever. How many minutes do you want to give yourself? And then if you're like me, you back away from the situation, you kind of reflect for a second, and then you say, I'm going to push back. Because I'm just that type of individual. When I see things not going the direction that I wanted it to go, I just kind of start to strategize, like, okay, how are we going to deal with this? And so as a believer, I always have to start with the word. I always have to start with the question, what does God say about this? And then you find your answer. That's typically how it works. So, see, my edges are flyaways. What's going on? The first thing that I found was put on the whole armor of God so that you'll be able to stand firm against the strategies of the enemy. So you put on this armor. So if you can imagine a military armor, you have to kind of like, it protects you from all the stuff that might come at you. That could be crazy conversation, somebody cuts you off on the freeway. It could be that, you get a piece of mail that you weren't expecting to get. It could be that you got a phone call from someone from your past that just kind of triggered a whole bunch of uncomfortable feelings. Any of those things. But if you have your whole spiritual armor on, no matter what the situation is, you're always poised and prepared to deal with it. So that's the first part. And then the second part is to remember that you're not fighting against the people or the thing that seems like it's coming directly for you. It's not really even that. Sometimes it's a layer underneath. It's kind of like the stuff that you can't see. So let me share a quick story. So this week I'm at work, right? And my week seems to be going fine. Everything's going good. And all of a sudden, my baby gets sick. So I have a 9-year-old and I have a 4-year-old. And I'm a wife of 9 years, if I haven't already said that. Or 8 years. 8 years. Ooh, I'm trying to put it in that. So, yeah, my baby gets sick. My 4-year-old gets sick. And I am stressed because I am challenged with being a mom and balancing my career. So separate from Campaign P31, I'm also the children's ministry director at my church. And that's a full-time position. And I'm, doing that thing, ministry over there. And so there's things that need to be done. And I need to be in the office in order to do them. But my baby's sick and she has a fever. So I have to prioritize. But here is what happens. So I come home and I stay home. And all the time I'm thinking about the office. I get her sick. I get her well, and I send her back to school the next day. I go back to work the next day. And then 2 days later, here we go again. She's sick. And this time she's sick with something that's highly contagious, to say the least. So I am just freaking out, thinking contagion. Oh my God. Now I'm slanging bleach everywhere. I'm like, I got to get this house together. So my takeaway is that, is this an attack, or do I feel under attack because my baby got sick? No, not really. But it's just, one of those things that's kind of uncomfortable to deal with. And you got to face it, you handle it, and know that when you're going through stuff that you're not sure why it's coming at you or the timing of why it's coming at you, that he promised that he'd work it all out for your good. He will work out every detail. And so I think for me, as much as I hated being away from work and I feel like, oh my gosh, when I go back, I'm going to be so behind in what I need to do or accomplish for the week. The truth is sometimes God does things like that or allows things like that to happen in order to slow you down, to get you quiet, and to start nudging at you in a different way. I always find personally that when I'm in those positions, that's when I get what I call downloads of a God idea. Because remember, I told you there's tons of good ideas out there, but all you need is one good God idea and your life is forever changed. So I hope that you got something from this talk today. I look forward to hearing from a lot of you. I'm waiting to see some comments, but I don't know if my comments have just been some love, which I absolutely appreciate. If you have any questions about, let's see. Oh yeah, I see people now. I couldn't see comments before. Hi guys. If you have any questions about the scriptures that I referenced, the whole armor scripture, knowing that you're not fighting or wrestling against flesh and blood, but you're wrestling against, things that are under the surface. And we'll get to that a little bit later and really flesh that out. But I can send all of those in the bottom here, and I can make sure that you guys have all of those scriptures as reference. I can't see really good, y'all. I'm sorry, I'm getting old, so we got to put the glasses on. Sorry, I hope I don't look like a granny, but I got to see. Especially I'm looking at these comments and I'm trying to make sure. Okay. Oh yeah, I would like to put all of that stuff in the bottom. And I've got a couple of things I'm going to shoot out to you guys today. So check me out over at campaignp31.com. Love to see you. If you are a gentleman, you're more than welcome to check out what we're talking about too. But really pass the information on to your wives, your sisters, your moms, cousins, aunties, everybody who happens to be a female persuasion. So you guys, I don't want to take too much of your time, but thank you for hanging out with me on Facebook Live Fridays at Campaign P31. I look forward to seeing you guys in the near future. Take care and be blessed.